Can I just say one word here? Even when you were asking that question, I was getting the word repeatedly in my mind, and that is powerlessness. You are not in control of the system, of what is happening, and you don't have the authority to resist. It's a powerless life. The mother, the Afro-American mother, as well as the slave father that you're talking about. The issue of choices hardly came because the larger ambit was slavery.
There was no rights. So she's used absolutely the perfect word, which should be the key word of this presentation, is that they were so powerless. Even at the most basic level, the basic unit of living, which is the family. Yeah. Talk about the nation. Yes. They've absolutely, just keeping them apart was so important, because if they got together, they were never wanting to go to be slaves. So the whole effort was to keep them apart. And it's not that, of course, again we will reiterate that there were whites who looked after them very well, kept them well, but couldn't go out of their way to help them, but there were some who could and who did. And there is a beautiful film on the life of Thomas Jefferson, who had a black mistress and had a baby. Yeah. And that's a lovely movie which has been made. Maybe you can see.
Means this color mindset is intruding in each and every sphere of life in America. Like we take example of Oscars, which happened recently, and I don't know the name of the actress. She got the best supporting role, and she was a black actress, and she acted a nanny, role of nanny in the film. So many blacks resented on the fact that she should not accept the award just because she
played the role of a nanny. Yes. Yeah. So, there is, please understand this, please sit. Please, I'm glad that you brought up the Oscars again and again. Because the average Indian student's mind is always Bollywood, looking at the Hollywood films to decide if that's how America, and you see America as what you see in the Hollywood films, but let me tell you, that's not what America is all about. America is about a lot more than that. It's a wonderful country. It's a beautifully multicultural country. It's a country where you can come out and fight for the rights of others and your rights. So if there's oppression on one side and you see civil liberties and rights being mowed down, then there are people who stand hand in hand with you and fight for you and fight right up to the end. And there's an excellent, excellent movie, To Kill a Mockingbird, and a book by Harper Lee, in which a black man's case is fought by a white man. And it's a very beautiful film, if you must see that. So this whole notion that, the whites were not supporting them is not true. But yes, there's still that bitterness. It hasn't gone away. It will take a long time, because I think somewhere deep inside, the African American still doesn't, some of them at some level, still doesn't feel that he's been given every opportunity, every right, the way a white man has been given it. And so let's not believe that with the civil rights movement in the 1960s, it's over. It's a long, long struggle. It will take a long, long time for equality to come in. Yeah, there is another question there.
Ma'am, blacks were powerless, accepted, men, women, both. But what about the white woman who, discovered that her husband cheated on her? And what were the rights that were given to her at that time?
Well, the rights that were given, it was a very traditional family, like we had in India. If I take it, we just compare the society,
No,
the white woman hardly had a voice. We will be doing a section with you later on the women's rights movement. She gets a right to vote only in the 1920s.
She had no rights, because we
so what kind of rights do you if they do not consider
even if
her?
she resented, she had to bear with it.
And she couldn't get a divorce.
No, they could get a divorce and get separated if she wanted to, but it was not accepted. She could leave him. But can you see a society in which a woman is not economically independent, leaving the man and going where and doing what? Because it's money which decides everything.
Means why this concept is strongly accepted in USA only, when everywhere in the world has that master and servant relationship.
Yeah. See, the master and servant relationship doesn't mean that the servant is a slave, which means that the servant is not a property. We employ people here too, and in every country they are employed, but they are individuals in their own right.
And they have rights.
They have all the rights to deny not to work for you.
They can leave you and go. They
But-
have every single, the servant in your home will have the same rights as you.
Yeah. Right? So it
Absolutely the same rights as you.
but over here, they were like property, you know. No rights. Their identity as an individual was non-existent.
The servant and the servant and the master and the slave and the master are two different kinds of relationships.
Oh, totally.
Where your servant may not be very powerless. Have you seen maids screaming and leaving the house when they're angry and
Yeah,
going
much
out
more
and going to
powerful than what we
the
are.
going to the police station and lodging a complaint against you
Yeah.
and leaving the work and demanding rights and going to other forums? I don't think if she were a slave she could have done it. She could never have had any. She could never have
There
had
was no
any
escape
rights.
for them.
So that's the difference between the slave and the master and the servant and the master.
Were there some other factors other than color discrimination for taking just Africans as slave rather than taking Native Americans as slave?
See, there were a few reasons which I did read that, you know, first was, it was not the color actually, right? The Africans were slaves much before they came to North America, let me say that, specify again and again. The slavery was already there, and even in their own countries like in Africa, you know, West Africa, they were supplied to the Caribbean islands, and you know, the whole route is there, how they were traded, okay? And they were already working on the rice and, you know, sugar cultivation there was going on, right? So they felt that, you know, it was felt that they had some experience, okay? Second, obviously they were not acquainted with the terrain, land terrain, and they could not escape easily, right? And even given to the color, it was difficult to just get off, you know, they could be caught hold of and got back, right? And also, since they've had an exposure with the Europeans, the probability of them catching infectious disease was much less, right? That was, and one reason, like they were supplied through the Caribbean route, we don't have the map right now over here, but if you could see that, it was like, it just took, you know, 2 weeks to 6 weeks to get them to North America, right? Now, when you're talking of natives, it was, the first difficulty would have been that since they belong to the land, okay, so for them the acquaintance with the, you know, place would be much more and they could easily escape. Second, they would have had political allies, you know, who would fight for them. It wouldn't be so easy to get away and, you know, keep them as slaves. And maybe that they would have been more prone to infectious disease.
Here I would like to, since we keep teaching Native American literature, I'd like to tell you that when the colonies came up in America, it's the Native Americans who occupied the maximum space. So there was always a frontier at which there was a kind of a war going on between and there were hundreds of tribes, okay? And so they were all resisting. There was a constant battle and resistance all the time between the Native Americans and the whites. And some Native Americans, there was no way that they could have taken Native Americans as slaves. They would never have been able to be taken as slaves because they fought back. It was their terrain. They were fighting for their life. They were fighting for their land.
So basically you're coming to the powerless concept. The powerless, they were powerful, they voted, and the Africans were powerless.
The Africans were powerless for all kinds of reasons, for political reasons.
Displaced.
And they were displaced. These are people who belong to the land. And even with the Native Americans, let me tell you this, that the Native Americans, when they came in touch, some of them converted to Christianity, took English education. So there was protest, and there were so many fights and revolts against the colonizer. The ones who were coming in, the whites, were the colonizers. So Native Americans being taken as slaves the chances were very minuscule in comparison to what was happening with the blacks. Now, the society that you see in America now is a far more egalitarian society.
It's evolved.
Far more progressive, far more focused on human rights. And there is a society where people of every color stand up and talk. And now you don't have in America just African Americans. You have Americans of Indian origin, Hispanics, you've got Chicanos, you've got Native American. Leave that alone. Let me share this with you. In the US, if you stand in Times Square and for just about, say, half an hour, you would see a person from every single part of the world. China, Japan, I saw Sardarji, I saw everybody. From every possible country. So if you look at America, when we visited, it's truly a country which is built up of people from all nations. All nations. And so there will be its own internal conflicts. They will resolve it. And it's moving forward. I think the civil rights movement has given us, given the African American a great start, that in the beginning of the 21st century they could have a black president is very commendable. So it's very commendable for the nation, because in the backdrop of this whole slavery and the slave trade, and they're not getting their rights, the nation can come up to a point where it can have a black president. We need to congratulate the Americans for having achieved that, and also learn from there that, you know, how important human rights is and how for the right cause we should all join up. So thank you very much. Thank you all, and we will be meeting shortly for the session on the women's rights movement. We take a small break, have something to eat, come back, and then we listen back.